The cowboy had been alone for too long. Years of drifting from one dusty town to another had worn the life out of him. When he saw the half-broken shack sitting near a quiet desert river, he decided it was enough. He paid the old land broker a few coins and signed his name with a trembling hand. The shack wasn't much, a leaking roof, cracked porch, and silence that pressed against his chest, but it was his. That night, he built a fire and listened to the wind move through the valley. For the first time in years, he thought he heard laughter carried on the breeze, soft, distant, like the echo of a dream. He stepped outside, staring toward the river glowing silver under the moon. Maybe the desert wasn't as empty as he thought. At sunrise, he took his bucket and walked to the river for water. But when he reached the edge, he froze. 3 young women were bathing in the shallow stream, their laughter light, their hair shining in the morning sun. They looked like spirits of the desert, free and unafraid. The cowboy turned away quickly, embarrassed, but one of them noticed him. "Stranger," she said softly, "this land is not yours alone." He stammered an apology and hurried back to his shack, his heart pounding. Who were they? Travelers? Natives? Or ghosts of the land itself? The sound of their laughter followed him all the way home. That evening, as the wind howled across the plains, a gentle knock echoed on his door. When he opened it, the 3 sisters stood there, dressed now in simple robes. The eldest spoke first. "Our family once lived here," she said. "The river belongs to us, and to anyone who treats it kindly." The cowboy invited them inside, awkward but kind. They shared stories, of drought, loss, and the father they had buried near the river. The sisters had returned to care for his resting place, but the storms had destroyed their home. The cowboy offered them shelter. "This shack ain't much," he said, "but it's warm." The eldest smiled faintly. Sometimes warmth is all a soul needs. A heavy rainstorm swept through the desert that night, flooding the riverbanks. The cowboy worked side by side with the sisters to block the water from reaching the shack. Lightning cracked the sky, but their teamwork turned fear into strength. When the rain finally stopped, they sat around the fire, soaked but smiling. The cowboy looked at them, their laughter, their courage, their unbroken spirit, and felt something he hadn't felt in years: belonging. The eldest sister caught his gaze for a moment longer than she should have. Neither spoke. The silence said enough. When dawn broke, the desert glistened like gold. The sisters packed their things, ready to move on. The cowboy stood by the river, his chest heavy with something like loss. The eldest walked up to him. "Keep this place alive," she said, placing a small carved pendant in his hand. "It's a piece of our father's spirit, now yours too." He watched as the 3 sisters disappeared into the horizon, their figures fading in the sunlight. The river whispered softly, and for the first time, the cowboy smiled. The shack wasn't lonely anymore. It carried memories, laughter, and the warmth of 3 souls who had turned his solitude into life again.